Oluchi's new life wasn't a loud declaration. There were no fireworks, no grand announcements. It unfolded gently, like a flower opening to the morning sun, slow, deliberate, and beautiful. She came to understand that healing wasn't a destination you arrived at, but a rhythm you learned to live with. Some days, she danced to its beat. On other days, she simply breathed through it, and that was enough. Her small flat in Jabi transformed into her sanctuary. The walls were a soft cream, the curtains sheer and golden, letting the light filter in. She filled the space with life ferns, succulents, and even a stubborn hibiscus that stubbornly refused to bloom. Her writing desk faced the window, and every morning, she would write with the warm sunlight on her face. She was no longer afraid of silence. In fact, it had become her closest companion, a blank canvas where she could paint her thoughts. In the quiet, she began to rediscover the person she was before the world tried to change her. Not the woman Shinadu had tried to mold, but the girl who once scribbled poems in the margins of her childhood notebooks, the one who always believed in the immense power of words. Her first chapbook, a small collection of poems titled The Bruises Beneath the Skin, began to circulate. It wasn't a bestseller, but it found its way into the hands that needed it most. Women, strangers from across the country, started writing to her. They saw themselves in her verses, in her pain, and in her hope. One message in particular brought tears to her eyes. It simply read, "Your words gave me permission to leave. Thank you for being brave." Oluchi cried when she read it, not because she felt particularly brave, but because bravery had never felt like a choice. It had simply been a matter of survival. Inspired by these connections, she began hosting writing workshops at the local women's center. These sessions were about more than just poetry. They were about finding one's voice. They were about reclaiming stolen narratives and transforming pain into power. One afternoon, a young woman named Zainab shared a gut-wrenching poem about her father's suffocating silence. Another Gozi wrote about how she had forgotten the sound of her own laughter. Oluchi listened patiently to each story, nodding, offering support, and holding space for their emotions. "You are not broken," she would tell them, her voice firm but gentle. "You are becoming." A profound quiet would fill the room, until someone whispered, "Amen." One evening, an email arrived that made her heart skip a beat. It was an invitation to speak at a literary festival in Lagos. Her initial reaction was fear. The thought of standing on a stage, of being so completely seen, felt terrifying. But her friend Amaka encouraged her, reminding her, "Your story matters, Oluchi. Let them hear it." So she went. She chose a simple blue dress, the color of the sky just after a refreshing rain. Her hair was neatly braided, and she clutched her notebook in her hand like a shield. As she stepped onto the stage, her heart thundered against her ribs. She took a deep breath and looked out at the crowd, seeing a sea of faces curious, expectant, and surprisingly kind. And then she spoke. She didn't just talk about Shinadu or the pain he caused. She spoke about her childhood in Enugu, about her dreams, about the deceptive masks that love can sometimes wear. She spoke about the bruises that don't show on the skin and about the quiet, personal rebellion of choosing yourself day after day. When she finished, a deep silence fell over the room. It was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Then, one person stood up, then another, and another, until the entire room was on its feet, filling the hall with thunderous applause. Oluchi smiled, not because she had conquered her fear, but because she had learned to make peace with it, to walk alongside it. Later that night, sitting by her hotel window, she watched the vibrant lights of Lagos sparkle below. She thought of her mother, who had once told her, "Your voice is your inheritance. Don't ever let anyone take it from you." She thought of the women in her workshop, of her poems, of the scars that were now a part of her story. She even thought of Shinadu, and to her surprise, she felt nothing. Not rage, not sorrow, just a calm, quiet distance. She was no longer tethered to his shadow. She was her own light now. Thank you so much for joining me on this part of Oluchi's journey. If her story of healing and empowerment resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content that celebrates the strength of the human spirit. We'll see you in the next video.